We're Owlet Baby Monitors, and we want to share the story of how this sock is bringing parents peace of mind. So our story starts with Tanner working in the hospital. He works with the technology pulse oximetry. You've all seen this. It's a little red light they put on your finger, monitors your vital signs. He found working with this day in, day out that there was a pain with it that he had experienced, and that pain was the cord. He found that patients didn't like it. He found that nurses didn't like it. It got tangled up. It got in the way. So he assumed that other nurses would feel the same way. So he went ahead to test that assumption. He thought, what if we had a wireless pulse oximeter? We could have nurses use it, and we could sell it through the hospitals. So in validating that, he went out and talked with 58 nurses. He found a really good response rate. 93% said they wanted to see this over the existing technology. However, going back to the hospital, talking with administrators, he got a very different story. This was not a pain for them. It was about money, and it wasn't cost-effective for them, and so they said no. So we learned a very valuable lesson. Your user is not always your customer. Even though we found a user that loved the idea and wanted to use it, they did not have purchasing power, and so going from the yellow, it goes back to red. It's unvalidated. So they're not our customer. We had to move on somewhere else.
A little closer, sorry.
Okay. This didn't cost a thing, and it only took about a week to validate. So we knew that we needed to pivot. Kurt Workman had experienced firsthand in his family the pain that comes from a child being lost to respiratory failure. And so he thought, what if we pivot, use the same technology in an in-home setting for infants? We can monitor vital signs, blood oxygen levels, heart rate, and report that to a parent, where if there's an emergency during the night, it will alert and alarm the parent, giving them peace of mind knowing that they'll have that type of alert. He had found, in addition, that SIDS is the #1 cause of infant death in the United States. It's often respiratory related, which increases parents' anxiety a lot. In addition, there's 4 million babies born in the U.S. every year. And so with that size, we figured and assumed that's a really big pain. I bet a lot of other parents feel this pain. So we went out to test that assumption. We started with our assumed solution, which was putting the technology into a smart anklet, putting it on the baby. It wirelessly would send that information to a relay station, which was capable of alerting and alarming the parents if there was an emergency, as well as pushing the information onto a smartphone for convenience. So we completely pivoted from our original idea. We started focusing on creating value in a new customer segment for parents in the home setting, helping bring them peace of mind. So we knew there was 2 types of risk we'd be facing in this. Market risk, will someone buy it? And technology risk, can we build it? We tackled market risk first because it was easier to get to and it was more important. We initially surveyed 105 mothers, and we found that on average they gave us an 8.5 out of 10 on wanting this product, thinking the technology was great. 96% said that they would use this technology. We got a lot of responses like, this is awesome, I want to buy one now, and take my money now and start selling it. We knew this was very early validation, but it at least pointed us in the right direction. We really validated this idea when we took the idea into a class project, for which we built a website, we made a video. The video in reality at the time was nothing more than just smoke and mirrors showing what the product could be or what it could do. We put it up on the website, and it leaked out. We didn't intend for this, but it got picked up by 40 news agencies in 13 different countries. A lot of big names picked up this story. And because of that, we received over 500 emails in our inbox. Most of these were from parents begging for the product, saying, we want the peace of mind you provide. We're not sleeping well at night. We're willing to buy a prototype if that's all you have. And so from that, we feel we really validated that, yes, there is a pain here. These parents want the peace of mind that this can provide. In addition, we had 15 distributors around the world reach out to us. Among these, one from our major competitor said they're willing to drop that account, which brings them $2 million in revenue per year, to pick up our account. The second, that's moving forward the fastest, wants to do $50,000 in pre-sales to get this into their market the quickest. The great thing is all of that validation, it came from virtually building nothing at that point. And so we feel that indeed, yes, we did validate that there is a pain here and there is a customer that we can service. That only cost us $220 and took about 2 weeks to determine.
So our next question was, how are we going to reach our customers? We initially thought through hospitals, but after talking with pediatricians and mothers, we realized that the best place to sell it would be in the retail location. When looking at how much it was going to cost us to make our product, we realized that at the end, the customers would have to be buying it at around $200. Our question was, are we really creating that much value? So we originally thought and assumed that we would have to rent the product. Our initial survey was pointing us in that exact same direction. We got out of the building, went and talked to the people over at Babies R Us, and they told us there's a huge span of different products as far as price goes, and that the ones that are being purchased the most are in the $200 range. We didn't believe the lady when she told us this, so we called 33 other baby stores, and they told us actually the exact same thing. We were completely wrong. 71% of the baby monitors being purchased today are in the $200 to $200 or $250 price point. And we learned that surveys can also lie if you don't word it correctly. We were asking what would you expect to pay, but when we started asking what's the maximum you would pay, that completely changed the results that we were getting. We also A/B tested this on our website. People thought that they were purchasing the product when they clicked on the reserve button at different price points. This allowed us to find out what the elasticity of the demand was and find our demand curve and find that the profit maximizing price was at $299. So we, in fact, were proved wrong, and luckily we will be able to sell the product. This cost us $30 and 3 weeks. The next question was, could we build it? And that went right with our next technology risk. The two factors that we needed to prove out was pulse oximetry and wireless transmission in this usage. We first did wireless transmission because it was easier. We built the proof of concept. It cost us $300 and 7 weeks, and it was able to do everything that we wanted it to, even though it looked kind of ugly. After proving that, the next question was, can we create pulse oximetry specific for infants? So we went back to the hospital. We interviewed the nurses. We watched how they were using the product, or the current pulse oximeters, and we realized that our design wasn't going to work. For technical reasons, we had to switch to a more sock-like design. We tested that sock-like design with over 120 hours of testing. We did it in 26 different homes and 7 overnight tests with parents. We are happy to see that with our new design, we could in fact build it. It cost us $500 and 12 weeks on working on that. Our next question, which unfortunately we didn't learn this until later in the game, was that we needed FDA clearance on this product. And the first person we talked to said it was going to cost us over $1 million. We had to figure this out. We talked to 16 professionals. We even talked to the labs that we need to work through, and we know it's going to cost us at maximum $200,000 in 13 months. We validated that, and it only cost us $200 in 3 weeks. But at this point, this validation was really bittersweet. We said, man, is $200,000 in 13 months and all that liability really running lean before we can even get a product into a customer's hands? Could we not create something that will be more minimal and less risky and start with that in the market? What was holding us up was the alarm. Alarm plus pulse oximetry means that you need an FDA clearance. We thought, well, what if we scratch the alarm? What could we do? We said, well, we'd have the same product that would still give you all these really cool things, and we could play with that data really in a lot of interesting ways. And maybe we could call it our infant health tracker. This was completely unvalidated, so we had to go back and revalidate whether or not this product with that slight tweak would be different. So we grabbed our clipboards and we headed out to a bunch of retail locations, and we interviewed 81 people in person. We gave them 4 pieces of paper and said, which one would you buy if you had to? And they had to choose between our product and then the 3 other types of product that they can buy in those same price points. We were amazed when 20% of them said that they would choose our product. And we also learned so much about our customer. It's not a one-size-fits-all customer. In fact, we really kind of have a whole range of customers. On one side, we kind of have like our hippie-type mom that's a lot less worried about these types of things. And then you also have the moms that's on the opposite side of the spectrum. The ones that were less worried told us things like, and we kept hearing it over and over, I wouldn't want an alarm on this. This would drive me crazy. And it absolutely floored us, but we realized that our alarm version wouldn't even capture part of the market. And by starting with a health tracker that they liked already, we'd be addressing a completely separate market, not cannibalizing our own sales, and starting with something that was a lot less risky to begin with. As for the parents who weren't worried, we would launch our next product a few months down the road after we'd learned from some risk and avoided some risk with our first product. So that was validated, and we learned so much more about how our customer base is segmented out. This cost us nothing, and it took about 3 weeks to do. Moving forward, we still need to validate a few things. We need to validate whether or not there's a few other subscription-like revenue streams, and we also need to find key partners that are in operations and have retail experience. We got all this done for just over $1,000 and 24 weeks. And we did a lot of validation and talked to a lot of people, not just surveys, but over hundreds of people we one-on-one interviewed and tried to make fake sales with. We're really excited to be launching this summer with the non-alarm health tracking version that doesn't need FDA, and to lower risk, and then eventually 7 months later launch with our flagship product that we know will be a hit.
I wanted to add to that. So I'm a dad, and I can tell you firsthand, having kids is the most life-changing, amazing experience you can have. And at Owlet, we really hope to keep it that way. Thank you so much.